Okay, hello, good morning, and welcome everybody to the third talk as part of our Mayura celebrations. My name is Sangam. I'm one of the 10 interns who is studying here at Dakshin Chitra. And as part of our internship in museum management, we've organized our annual exhibition titled Mayura, a celebration of the peacock. This exhibition is primarily an art exhibition here at the Kadambari Gallery in Dakshin Chitra, and it highlights stories about the peacock in Indian history, folklore, music, religion, and popular culture. Peacock motifs are found on several objects, from lamps to plates to jewelry and textiles. And we've displayed some of these objects that we found in the vast collection that Dakshin Chitra has. And we've also created several thematic installations to accompany these objects. So if you visit Dakshin Chitra before the 30th of April, please do come by to the Kadambari Gallery to see the exhibition. We've also organized several online and offline talks and workshops to accompany the exhibition through the month of April. And today is the last talk of that series, and a very interesting one, certainly one that we didn't really know about. So today the topic that we're discussing is the peacock in Sangam literature, and it's an online lecture by Professor Sathyanarayana, who gave us our last talk as well. He spoke about the Indian blue peafowl. And today, though, he's here to talk about the presence of the peacock and how it's depicted in different pieces in Sangam literature. So about the professor, so he's a retired associate professor with over 35 years of research experience. He taught in the Department of Wildlife Biology and Department of Zoology at ABC College in Mailadurai for about 30 years. He's given several talks on the Indian blue peafowl, about the behavior, the conservation efforts, and he has numerous publications to his name and contributed to seminars, books, journals, and conferences. He was actually the chief guest at our inauguration for our exhibition on April 2nd. And we had a wonderful talk by him last week, and we're so grateful that he's decided to give us another talk today on another very interesting topic. And he's been enthusiastic and supportive since the day we got in touch with him. And I'm really happy to pass it on over to him. So Professor, on to you, and we'll begin the talk. A couple of requests: please keep your mics and your videos turned off, and we'll have a question and answer session towards the end of the talk. So if you have any questions, or if you need any clarification, you can put it in the chat, or you can turn on your mic, turn on your camera, and then ask the professor yourself. Thank you.
So, good morning to everybody. Today, I'm very glad because the Mayura, a celebration of peacock, actually organized excellent program, and also they invited me to deliver a webinar lecture on the peacock in Sangam literature. And all of you know that I am Sathyanarayana, retired associate professor from Department of Zoology and Wildlife by the ABC College of Mailadurai. Most of you know that the ABC College, Department of Zoology and Wildlife, is the college offering a MSc in Wildlife Biology, a 2-year full-time field-oriented course, because not like zoology, it's a field-oriented course, because my students, they go to the field at the end of the second year, fourth sem, and they stay in the forest, they do for the dissertation, they submit the dissertation or the project report, and there is no theory part during that period. So that is the unique character, the feature of this course. Actually, now you may wonder why I have chosen the topic peacock in Sangam literature. I think because that I am basically, primarily I'm a teacher, and also secondarily I'm a researcher working on the peacocks in the field of the P4, Indian blue peafowl, Peacock status in the field so many years, more than 3 decades. And you may also shocked to see why you have chosen the Sangam literature, why you want to read on the Sangam literature. And it is a pity that most of us, we underestimate in the Tamil language the importance of the Sangam era or the Sangam age. We have to give importance to the Tamil language, go to the Sangam literature and see what is there, first of all. So that is why probably says I don't know all those things. And suddenly it occurred to me. And very recently, when I just browsing through the net, I got this Sangam literature and what is the relationship with the Peacock. And actually, during the Sangam age, the poets, they have observed the landscape. That means the equality they studied. They also observed the behavior of all animals, not only peacock, they observed all animals and they wrote the poems. Okay. See, they observed the field, like a field scientist or field biologist like me. They observed all the features like this. And not only that, the poets compared the floral parts or the plant parts with the peacock body parts, which I am going to explain you. Now, before that, what is the Sangam age? Most of you are read or they forgot some of things. And Sangam age actually started in 3rd century before Christ. During the Sangam period, all the Academy of Tamil poets, they are the eminent Tamil poets. Like you might have heard Kabilar, Nattirar. Actually, during that period, Sangamam means all the poets during that period, they all assembled at one point. For example, the Madurai, where we have the ruling of the Pandya kings that time. And they have given importance to the Dravidian language, or the Dravidian literature. During Sangam literature is the earliest literature of South India. So what they did in that, if you look at the poetry, by all the poets, eminent scholars, during the Sangam era, they are written about the Agam and Puram. Agam means interior, love. If you look at all the poems, there are 2,380 poems in that. And if you look at that, all of them of the love. And Puram means outside. They have explained about the king, heroism, battle, ethics, and poets. Okay, what are these things they have composed? They have the 8 anthologies, not really like that, Aganur, Aingunur, Purundogai, Puranur, Kalikotai, and Patripattu, and also epics. They also, very well about Silapadikaram and also Manimegal. So these are the 2 epics during the Sangam period. If you look at the why I have given importance to Sangam poetry, if you just carefully go through all the Sangam literature, you know that it's a nature poetry. So they have connected the nature with the love, valor, or the courage, agony, and ecstasy, happiness, kindness, war, cruelty, honor, charity, friendship. So the Sangam poets observe nature enthusiastically, like we do, like I did, like we did, or not the biodiversity conservation, naturalists, they observe. And they are given importance to include fauna and flora, very important. That's why we give importance to Sangam literature. All the biologists, whether you are a botanist or a zoologist or a life science, give importance to read the Sangam literature with regard to the plants and animals. That's called fauna and flora. They have just observed the smallest animal to the biggest animal. Okay, and it shows or indicates the peoples are friends of trees and animals during the Sangam era, Sangam age. Very important thing, I was just really thrilled because now earlier we were talking about the ecology. All of you know the ecology, or your environment, or your habitat, where the peacock lives, where the animals live in the forest habitat, like dry deciduous forest, different habitats. And now, after habitat all this time, now the conservationists or the wildlife biologists, they're important for study of the landscape. Because see, don't you think that in 2000 years back, our poets, the people observe, Tamil people observe the different landscapes. Now you talk about land, now the scenario is landscape because only it's not sufficient to conserve the animal, to talk about only the habitat of the animal. We have to include the human habitation, that is called landscape, surrounding the forest area, surrounding the protected areas, the non-protected areas, outside the protected area. We have to give importance. That is called the landscape. So, but 2000 years they given importance for the landscape. Here I really very proud of our really Tamil poets. Okay, landscape divided into different categories such as Kurinji, Mullai, Marudam, and Palai as per geographical location. Each Tinai closely associated with particular landscape. It's flowers, wildlife, people, climate, geography, and all these things they woven into poem. That's very important. See, that is intelligence. That's why I say eminent scholars. They observed all these things and they woven into the poems in such a way to convey the mood is associated with one aspect of romantic relationship. That is our purpose. Aim is romantic relationship. They are observing that. So, like the Kurinji landscape, we have the hilly mountain region, Mullai landscape, pastoral or the grasslands, and Palai or the parched drylands, Marudam, which is the agricultural land or the wetlands, Neidal, the coastal area, and their profession. See how they have very carefully divided the landscape into 5 gathered 2000 years back itself. Very amazing. Now, each one I am going to explain you the Kurinji land. What is that? Because named of the, about the Kurinji flower, which blossoms once in 12 years, even in Western Ghats, wherever you go, you can also observe this one. And this actually Kandal. This Kurinji is not Kandal. It is called Lily Gloriosa superb. Gloriosa superb, genus. They also include bamboos, jackfruit, rengai, Pterocarpus, marsupial scientific name, monkeys, bears, elephants, parrots, peacocks, and also cool with water and abundant this habitat or the landscape. Now the Mullai landscape, where it's related with jasmine, we can have the jasmine there related, and we can have the rich soil, and there we have a lot of farmers. Farming is very important thing. We have the grasslands like this, where you have the herbivores like deer is present. Now what is the Marudam landscape? Marudam is just named after your Arjun tree, Terminalia Arjuna, or Terminalia Bellarica, other names are there. Terminalia, we say in Tamil it's a Kadukka, and named after Marudam tree. They will include the agriculture, very important. Agriculture pastoral land, they have the pelicans, you have the waterfowl, you have the fishes, you have the buffaloes, and we have the water or the wetland like this, riverine system. Then we have the Neidal. Neidal actually named after the blue lily called Nymphea species, and it have the seashore, adjoining lands. We have the Punnai tree, we have the cormorants, we have the cormorant, we have the seagulls, we have the you have the reef herons or the gray herons, you have the pelicans, crocodile, and also you have the sharks. And the main occupation is that the fishing. So this is what we say the Neidal, near the coastal area. Neidal is called the coastal area. Main occupation is the fishing. Now lastly the Palai. The Palai is the parched or the dry land. This Palai are named after the Palai. Tree is Palai, Palai. Blackboard tree or devil's tree, Alstodia stolaris. Now we have what is the flora? Cactus. We have the cactus here, and we have the elephants, tiger, wolf, vulture, eagle. Now what I want to emphasize here is that those 2000 years they classified like a scientist, like an ecologist, like a wildlife biologist, a biodiversity conservationist. They have classified all our habitat into 5 phenites or the 5 lakh. So we don't think they are better than a scientist, right? That's what a field biologist. Now one important thing is that when I'm going through the Sangam literature, I found that all the, because you know that during the Tamil Sangam, poets, they written all the poems in the Tamil, right? All the poems written in Tamil. And this may consist of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10 lines. So this is called Aingurunur. In the Aingurunur, or like that, they have written how many? There are nearly 2,300 poems they have written. And all these Tamil poems are translated into, fortunately, into English by one madam, Vaidehi Herbert. Actually, all the Tamil Sangam poems they translated excellently. You can also read. Those who do not know the Tamil, you can go through that and you can read this. You can appreciate. Really, I express my gratitude to Vaidehi Herbert, and also I get her permission to just use her whatever the poem translated for the academic purpose, for education purpose, for awareness programs, not for any commercial purpose. I assure you, the Vaidehi madam, it's only for the educational purpose, not for any commercial purpose. And also she has mentioned in the website, our website, please learn the Sangam poems. If you want to know your heritage as a Tamil, These poems reveal the sophisticated ancient Tamil culture, very important. Literature is recorded in Tamil Nadu history. Ancestors left this incredible treasure for all of us to enjoy. That's why I'm enjoying now by this bird, by the Vaidehi bird. She is in Hawaii, United States of America. And you can also go through this learnsangamtamil.com. You can just download this, you can read this. I acknowledge her once again. Look at this Sangam literature. There are 2,381 poems, already I told you. In 1,860 Agam poems, 108 places, and in 519 Puram poems, 63 places, and out of 142 poems, 171 places, they have mentioned about Peacock. That is a wonder. In 171 places, in 142 poems, the poets, they have mentioned about the peacock. Maybe their color, their structural features, or the body parts compared with the human or with the floral parts. Really wonder. Out of 473, 73 poets written poems on peacocks during Sangam period. The Sangam eminent scholars, how many? 73 poets, they have written about the peacocks. And this is what source I got from the one excellent literature I got by the Bhagavati Sankarlingam. She's from Tamil prosa, and she has written excellent books on the peacocks in Sangam literature. That is the Sanga Ilakyathil Mayil. The poets observed beauty and dance and peacocks. They also mentioned about the peafowl detail, such as different names, body parts, head, crest, eye, neck, back, train feathers, eye feathers, eggs color. So you remember that in my last lecture, I observed all the cell like this. So I went to the field for so many hours, so many days. I spent with the peacock. I took the pictures, and then I have just taken the photographs, all those things, and I studied them. But 2000 years back, they noticed all, but these pictures, not in the Sangam literature, just this all my picture, just for a better illustration, understanding, I have just put these pictures in all my presentation. Now look at this. I am talking about the landscape in different habitats, the peacock presence. In Purinji region, there are 45 poems. For Marudam, you have the 12. If you have Palai, 34. Neithal, you have 5. And Mullai is 17. They are all peacock sightings in these landscapes, and they're described. Now, one more thing is, we know about only Mayil, Mayoram, Memale, okay, in Telugu, very, very few. But look at these traditional names in the Sangam literature. Mostly they're given of Mayil, Togai, because of the train feather I explained you. The Pili I told you for the feathers, Pili name, Manjanai, Pinimugam, Sigi, Sigandam, Sigavalam, Naviram, Nyamali, Togai, Wagaram, Kalabi, Kegayam, Saranam, Sigandi, Kundal, Chandiragam, Tuvi, Kure, Mayuram. These are the names one can see in the Sangam literature. But we found this mostly 59 different names, not only Sangam, all the Dravidian language, in other language, who have 59 names. It's a wonder. 59 names given for the peacock or the peafowl. Now I'm going to just explain you one by one all the poems, which I have just downloaded from the website or through the Vaidehi Herbert or whatever maybe. So they have given about I told you all the 8 anthologies and 2 epics. Each name I'm going to know. They have mentioned about the author, mentioned about the landscape. That's a very, very quick, very important salient feature of these poems. Where a beautiful peacock rests on a swaying branch of mango. Why I want to talk to this is that they observed the resting behavior of the people. I was just talking to you or just delivering a lecture in my last webinar on the behavioral aspect of the people, resting behavior. So they observe the resting behavior where on the mango tree, and they know about the mango tree. They know about the flora and the fauna. They know about the animal, they know about the plant. Very, very important. This poem reveals the resting behavior of peacock observed by the poet. And next, I'm going to on the mountain with boulders, we have the rocks, where a peacock danced to the rhythmic hoots of owls. Very important is the rhythmic hoots. So they observed the calls of the owl. They observed the calls of the owl hoot. And also, just wait, 1 minute. Okay. Now this is what? See, the calling behavior, they observe the owl and the rhythmic hoots of owls and where the peacock dances. So they observe the display of the peacock and also the call of the. So this I mentioned pictures for better understanding, not from any Sangam literature resources. These pictures. But the woman had mostly compared with the peacock feather in the Sangam literature, like this. When she climbed the Maradam tree on the banks and divided into the dived into the ponds, the cool, fragrant hair looked like a beautiful peacock descending from the sky like this. So this is what these feathers are compared with the actually human hair, and also when just a peacock just flying and coming down, it has are looking like that. So this Maradam tree, it's called Terminaria Arjuna scientifically, Arjuna tree. So woman hair, the peacock feather flying Maradam tree. These things they come. So they observe the human and animal and the plants. See how they compare. As a scientist, I have not done it. So as a field biologist, I observed about, I only talk about peacock. But if I known earlier, I would have included all my MSc students' dissertation, one chapter on the Sangam literature. Like for example, I also request the interns of the Dakshin Chitra Museum, Heritage Museum, please kindly go through Sangam literature, one chapter, maybe a few pages, you include about the Sangam literature. What is important of Sangam literature, whether it's art, whatever it may be, the fabric or whatever it may be, you include that, then you will appreciate. Now I'm suggesting to all my students at the AVC College, while faculty, that include one chapter in the curriculum, and also for all the dissertation, include one chapter on the Sangam literature. You can compare and also write report. And other thing is that in the mountains with the huge, lovely yam fields where delicate forest peacocks dance. This is one poem they written about the agricultural lands, your yam fields. In the next poem, if the mountain dwellers, loving daughter of swaying walk, who is delicate like a pretty peacock. See how they compare the walk and the walking behavior of a lady and with the pretty peacock. So compare the human behavior with the peacock behavior. Other is that where hug the tall mountains, peacock dance. So they have mentioned that where cool clouds hug the tall mountains and where the peacock dances. Where a peacock perched on a bangate tree. So another plant or the flora, they know about all the plants, naming very important. Nowadays, though we studied the botany right from your schooling and in the college, like if you're a zoologist, some of you might have allied subjects. You read there and you forget all the botany. Even the common trees we ignore. That is the very pity. As a zoology student, they study and no forget. But unless otherwise you know about the plant, you cannot appreciate the behavior of the animal. So being a wildlife biologist, when I went to ABC College, I slowly, though I studied allied botany, now I just recollected all whatever I studied in the systematics or the plants of that. And it's only if you want to appreciate the wildlife biology or the field behavioral studies of the animal, one must know about the plants. If you're not plant, you cannot. What is the portion what they leave, which plant, like that, see now. Because that's what I said, our ancestors, they studied, given importance to the flora, the plants and the plant part. So where a peacock perched, that means they're resting on a bangate tree, bearing flame-like flower. They observe the phenology. That is what is the stage of the plant, whether it's a bud stage or that's called we study about phenology. They're studying the phenology of it. See, you don't think they're very better than a scientist. So this is called the flowering stage of this. Now we say that Pterocarpus marsupium This is called the Malabar kino or Indian kilo. And one thing I want to suggest that most of the botanists, when I gone through literature, they reported that whatever the names given by the Sangam poets, eminent scholars, still they're using it. Many of the, like your Vangai, they use that one. Even still, the botanists are using the Vangai. So peacock and Vangai tree, the flowers compared with the woman wearing the jewel. So what they have done, they also compared the jewels with these flowers of the Vangai. And next one is the My Lover with the Splendor. So I told you almost all, if you look at the poems of the Sangam literature, this main aspect is the love. So Agam Puram. Okay. So whatever seen in the Puram, they just compared with the love or whatever the lady or whatever that. So My Lover with the splendor of a peacock and arms like bamboo. See the bamboo. If you look at the bamboo tree, they compare with the arm of a woman or a lady. You covered by ice with your beautiful hands and filled with fragrance of kandal flower. Why I want to tell you kandal? How many of you know the kandal flower? It is the Tamil Nadu state flower, Sengandal. You know, some of you have reached the American consulate or where Gemini flyover, you have the one park in the Avai Shanmugha Salai, the Lions Road. It's called the Pungar Park is called Sengandal. One is Semmai Punga, where you have the Salam Marriage College next to that, next to Gemini Bridge. And just opposite that, we have a park called Sengandal. So why I want to give you that? Tamil Nadu state flower. So this is a Kandal, Kartigai flower, Sengandal, Gloriosa Superba, Flame Lily, Climbing Lily, Creeping Lily, Glory Lily, so Tiger Claw, Agnisha, Fire Lily. So they have observed that, they have mentioned in their poems because they are all the nature poets. And the peacocks run in fear for cover. That means the peacocks, they go and cover. This is called cover, escape cover. So we, the field biologists, say that whenever you forest, they have most of the animals, all the animals, they have the escape cover in order to protect from the predators or enemies. This is called, they go for the run in fear. When there is any danger, they run in fear to the cover. And the sparrows that come to eat the grain become distressed because they run it. So their sparrows are disturbed and they jump up and down. So they observe not only the peacock, the behavior of the house sparrow, jump up and down. What is that panic? And this is called when they have the very this is called, they give the alarm call. They observe that, and big millet spears in the field. They observe the agricultural land millet spear from marauding peacock. That means damaging peacock. So the crop plants are damaged. Those days also the peacock, they go there. The peafowl, both peahen and peacock, they go there. They damage there. Now also, last time I told you, because the conflict exists between the farmer and the animal or the peacock. So they have explained, they observed the foraging behavior of the animals, including the peafowl. Okay. Now the next poem, where a peacock perched on a flowering large vanguard branch looks like a woman who plucked flowers. Now we see that. So they always compared with the woman. So this vanguard flowering or the phenology. And next one, even if the young woman of swaying walk from a fine town, the mountain where peacock dance at the onset of rains. Okay. Now they say that, now this is what they observe the onset of rain, which as a scientist, which I have entirely. But anyway, so how they compare the swaying walk with the dancing peacock on a boulder on a rock. 1 minute. Okay, next poem. The blue water lily blossoms in the fresh springs like this. Eyes of the young woman. They compared this blue water lily with the eyes of a woman, swaying walk and fine soft hair. It is rare even for a peacock to be as a delicate actually. So how they compare? They compare the woman soft hair, the swaying walk, and this mentioned in the poem, even for a peacock to be as a delicate shield. See, this is a wonder how, see, they made use of whatever the field observation and they woven into the poems. Okay. Here the blue water lily compared to the eyes of woman, peacock compared to the woman. Where a peacock spread their pretty plumes, the peacock spreads its, I told you that when they display, they spread the fan-like thing, and that appear like the hair of a mountain woman. So look at this hair of a tribal people or the mountain woman, and they compare this woman hair with the peacock feathers or the train feathers or the display feathers. Next one, where peacock danced to the drums of marauders. So these are marauders with the drummers. So the drummers. So they compare the sounds, actually not the drummer, but they compare the sounds of peacock with the sounds of the drummers. And peacock dance like you in the cool forest, as fragrant as your forehead. See, they compare the forehead of the woman with the peacock dance, like a cool. They say that your forehead is very cool. So this is the lover says to the girl. Right. Okay. The next one, what the hero said to the heroine, like you peacock dance, and the deer look bewildered, the deer is confused. Moonlight flowers have blossomed with the fragrance of evil, lovely forehead. See, this is the one, see, they compare. You know about jasmine, Mallipu, and they compare with the forehead of the lady, moonlight with jasmine, and they also observe the deer, the young deer, spotted deer, and display or the dancing of the peacock. King, the king says, who wears sparkling gems? The king wears the sparkling gems and the heavy jewels. Whose warriors? The soldiers. Warriors with strong, loud bows. See, they have the bows. They're all decorated with the peacock feathers. They made use of these feathers those days itself. That's why in the poem, the poets observe, and they also observe the, I said, Agampuram, or the warriors, the king. What are the things they use? They use their bows, the peacock feathers, and the darting arrows destroy a few forts. So they use the darting arrows. And the next one, very happy peacock sing along with the large herons. Herons with the bird, another bird. Okay. Now we say Narai. Okay. Large herons with the call sounding like the trumpeting of elephants. So here they observe the calling behavior of the elephants, trumpeting of the elephants, and they compare this to the peacock calling, okay, and also with the herons, large herons. The next one, flocks of peacocks screech in the vast forest in the season spring. I told you during the breeding season, the males. So April, May, June, July, August, you have always the pion, 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 pion call, always far. And if you go through after October, you cannot hear the breeding calls. If there's a jungle fowl, any bird's call, after the breeding season, you cannot hear. This is called the crowing call. This is called the crowing. The crowing behavior is not there out of the breeding season or outside the breeding period. So peacock will be very sound throat, and after that, I told you that is the calling behavior is reduced like that. So then we have the next one, the memorials. We can also observe that some of the memorials they're decorated with the train feathers or the peacock feathers. Now, bamboo filled with slopes where dancing peacock or like a female dancer in the dancing arena like this. So you know that how they dances or the peacock like a dancing arena. That means the stage, dancing stage. Okay, wherever in a hall they have the dancing stage like this. And the other thing is the dancing peacock and the calls is sweet mate like this. So already told you during the breeding season, what happened? Whenever the male sees the peahen, it starts dancing or displaying its feathers. So the dancing peacock and the quasi sweet mate both appearing like a drummer holding and standing behind the female dancer. See this. See how that means. Though I spend a lot of hours or days to observe, to study the display behavior of the Indian blue peafowl or the peacock in Viralamare villages. See, in 2000 years, the poets observed very, very carefully each and every event of the behavior, well, the male and the female, and behind a male, and like this, a drummer standing behind the dancer. This is wonderful. Enmity tie, the shed feathers of Delhi. That's the shedding period. They have observed the shedding of the people. Most of you won't accept. Even if there are one side of the coin, people, a group says that no, the peacocks are killed for their feathers, and they don't know that the peacock sheds annually, every year, thousands, lakhs of peacock feathers. And in Sangam, they observed the shedding of the peacock. Enmity tie, the shed feathers of delicate peacock. The shed feathers, they made use of this, swaying to their strong bows. Here also again the same thing, strong bows, they use for long strap on the edges, shoot rapidly, fitting the beauty of your tiny fibers. This one done. So they use the shaded feather, that means poets observe the shading behavior of the peacocks, and they have written the poet looking like a peacock surrounded by the fog. So during the fog period, they also observe that adorned with cool flowers and followed by bees feeding on them. So like this, and they observe the bee behavior, blossom of the flower, the phenols. That's what whenever we have in the botanists they know, or the botanist scientists, they studied about the different floral parts. They mentioned the phenology, flowering, bud stage, a leaf, or the mature leaf, or the immature leaf. Okay, like that. So already this I taught. And loving peacocks with the pretty plumes fear the sounds of different kinds of egg male mounted bird. That means, so in the forest, if you look at the like your Nilgiri tar, or you know about Kerala and Western Ghats, you can have the Varayadu, Nilgiri tar. When you have the rutting, that during the breeding season, two males will just fight with each other. During that, the sound will come. So that they observe the rutting period, very important. We say on rutting period, male days, okay, stacks, they fight with each other, and like that, the Nilgiri tar or the Varayadu, they also fight like this. Loving peacocks with pretty plumes fear the sounds of different kinds of young male mounted bird and butting horns against each other. That means the peacock also careful about and they do know about that the sounds may be threatened, the peacock, and the sign of poets observed where a peacock sit on high large branches of black truncated vanguard tree, and most of the things they are referred about. That means vanguard tree is very popular that time. Wherever you can say the very good the numbers of the vanguard tree. Those days there's no wood logging, there is no deforestation. We have a very good tree coverage those days. And again, the water trees, the fragrant flowers with long stalk like this appear like head crust of delicate peacocks. So this crust is just compared with your young waget tree. Okay, so waget tree means Albizia laber. This is called the Freya tree, Frywood, cocoa tree, woman's tongue tree. These are the common popular names in English. So Wagai in Tamil name, and you see that they observe the flower, fragrant flowers with the long stalk. They observe the parts of the flower, long stalk, compared with the head crust. Say how wonder. Say how the poet compare, the Tamil poet compare with these things. And now, where a young monkey plays like a sun rolling, peacock egg laid on. These are things they observe. Sometimes the monkeys they play with this when they found the nesting site. And when a new peacock, an innocent peacock, panics, it becomes very panic, eating the mature clusters of the gold-like tiny millet in the field, offering in God's mountain dweller field. So sometimes they also become very panic, like I said, villagers, when they're scared, they become very panic. So they also when they want to feed. So the painful northern wind that makes blue water lily buds in the water of to blossom, they will blossom, or like eyes of the peacock feather. I told you the oscillated feather, eye feather. This oscillated feather, eye feather, eye of this feather compared with the blue water lily flower. And the red buds of fine frond yingai. Yingai is nothing but you know that this plant, I have seen that This is called touch me not. Inge means the touch me not. So they observed the Inge flower. This is called the Mimosa pudica. Mimosa pudica, Inge. Yeah, touch me not. Total surungam. That plant. So they observed the total surungam. They observed the plant and they compared with the peafowl or the blue lily. And again in poem, who is beautiful hair like the prince with the eye. So the woman hair is like the eyes oscillated feathers. And another is very interesting that in the dry forest, in the Mullai, where long branches of perch in the kaya tree, this is the flower of the kaya tree, kaya flowers, are laden with blossom, looking like the necks of the delicate peacock. That means the salient feature they observed. And I told you the neck, we have to observe carefully all the colors and structures of the peacock. They observed 2000 years back. Not only structure, the color of this. And they observed the color of the flower. And after remembering these two things in the field, they have written the poem and they included in the poem very long branches of parched kaya trees are laden with blossoms, looking like a necks of delicate the peacocks. Wonderful. In this way, the poet compared blue flower blossoms of kaya tree, ironwood tree, and Memisilona umbulatum with the blue colored mix of peacock. In the next one, we were like a fine peacocks that they compared with the lovers that were caught in a net, with their head crust crushed. So in the net, when there's a trap, the peacock trap, their crusts are damaged and the tail feathers are ruined. All the train feathers are ruined. Okay. In Kurundagai, Mullai, the forest peacock echo rapidly with plaintive cry. In danger, they give the alarm call. Piam, 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 like that. So her thick, soft hair, like a delicate, lovely, clamoring peacock fins, will be yours alone. So they compare, they might have with a lover, compares a lover with these peacock fins. Okay. The peacock cry in the tree-filled forest and white-faced monkey. So they observed the silent feature of the monkey. This is called Nilgiri Langu. Okay. Tremble with young in the cold and slope. They also observe the young one. Okay. And a peacock that sway their luxuriant long feet while walking and dancing screech. So when they walk, they also, with the majestically dancing, they also screech. Okay. Rains with roaring thunder on hearing that in ignorance, huge peacock flock dance. So they thought that it's going to rain, or people listen that before rain they dance in the literature. And okay. Now young wagai tree, already again the wagai, flowers with long stalk appeal like already told you, head crust of delicate dark peacock. You can see head of the female peahen and the peacock. Already I explained you. Peacocks sitting on a flowering tree have started to speak. So sitting on this tree, banga tree, they started giving a call. And the green parrots steal the dense millet spheres, thinking that the peacocks nesting in the tall mountains are unaware. So what they did, the parakeets, we say parakeets, they go to the field and thinking that peacocks are there in the mountain, though, so that there is no any intruder. So they happily they can feed on this. It's like that they observe all the behavioral aspects. He polished bright spear blade, adorned his shield with gems and peacock feather. Look at this picture. This I made it from the net, so not in the Sangam literature book references. So they made the shield for the the shield they're using the warrior and they were decorated with the feathers. And also in the next poem, the new gem strands will look like a peacock flying in the sky. So when the woman wearing your gem strands, they compared with the peacock with their train feathers flying in the sky. Now again, they compared the Karuvilai flowers with the actually eyes of the woman and also the arms, the woman arms like a bamboo. Already I explained you. Okay. This also again we have explained. Now, very interesting is that they observe the legs of this peacocks. See legs. I told you the legs are there. The spur is present, and the shape of these legs, you know that they compared with the nochi plant. Very interesting, nochi plant. So Nigundi species. So 5-leaved, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-leaved plant. So Nerungudi, nochi, or 5-leaved chest tree, Vitex Negunde. They compare the feet of the peacock. Okay. Now the waterfall Lord Bangay tree have decorated the place with their new golden flower. A peacock makes a beautiful playing on the flowering fragrant flora. And again, I already told you the peacock dances with the rocks. Now, very important thing is I want to emphasize, even in the Sangam literature, they know about the behavior of shedding behavior of the peacock. They mentioned as the peeli. Peeli means in Tamil, Mail Tane Urindividum Sirigal. It itself naturally sheds, not plucking, not pulled by anybody. And they compare this with the palm flowers. So, you know, the inflorescence of peely. If you look at the how many appears in the palm tree, the inflorescence, it's also known as peely because it's also shades. Wonder, it's very great. Okay. Now coming to the all this, I told you this whatever this Sangam literature, the Thiruvalluvar also included in the Tirukkural, also included in Sangam literature. In the Tirukkural also, if you look at this couplet in the Kural 475, if the bullock cart is overloaded with even with the peacock feathers, the axle of the bullock cart will break. So how they have related this, when you even think that the peacock feathers are not break, when you load it, overload it, it will axle will be damaged or broken. So in the Kural, you can also in Tamil, I just translated somebody and we are made use of it. And in this Silapadikaram also they mentioned about the peacock, the son of the Lord who dwells of Kailas, who worship the lotus-like feet of your wife Valli, who belongs to the clan of Kuruvaras, the tribal, the lady with the elegance of the peacock and moon-like forehead, to bestow good wishes to marry my lover and to prevent any alliance with other. So in the Silapadikaram also that's mentioning about the peacock. And in the Sangam literature, look at that the trade of animals is the most economic activity during the Sangam era. Peacock export in the Western world. Most trading activities initiated from the Madurai, Morayur, and Korkai in Tamil Nadu. Animal trade with the Western world generated substantial amount of internationally convertible Roman currency for the merchants during the Sangam era. During the Sangam era, the peacocks are, that's why peacocks not native of the Western country, but peacocks are just exported from the Tamil Nadu and other places. First exported the Indian peacock to the Rome. Romans considered why peacocks as glamorous, sacrosanct, and excessively elegant, as well as status of symbol. Romans used to host dinner parties to show their superior wealth, and dinner parties they use it, and brains, peacocks, and dolphins. So these are things where the literature are found out. And I acknowledge all the poets, those who are from the Sangam literature. They have also written poems like our Vaidehi, and we learned Sangam literature. We have Avai Dorasamy, Somnath, Ambalawanan, Dakshinamurthy, and mostly I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the Bhagavati Sankar, excellent, the professor of Tamil. She has done 2 volumes on the Sangha Ilakyathil Mayil, Kapiyangal and Mayil, and very good. She has done a very good research on that. As a Tamil professor, we do not underestimate the Tamil literature. One has to read all these things, then you appreciate all those things. Now, these are the various references I followed. And this is what I thank everyone for having given opportunity to share some of the observations I made in the field and then compare the Sangam literature. Now you appreciate the Sangam literature, Sangam poet, how they carefully, enthusiastically observe all the behavioral aspects, not only peacock, we have a number of animals. If you go to Sangam literature, I also taken a separate lecture, the Sangam literature and the animals, all like tiger, elephant, all those things, birds, other birds, and all the things, that insects, they compare that. So this what, and I go through that. And also we have one of my friends, a veterinary scientist and also a field biologist, Dr. Ashram. Actually, he studied just a few months in ABC College, and then he went to Wildlife Trust of India. Now he's working as a director in the Wildlife Trust of India at New Delhi. And then now he's showing the interest in the Sangam literature. I have listened to 2 lectures, then I started interest in the Sangam literature. I just browsed in my Google search, and fortunately I got some of the literature. This one only I have referred only some 50. There are a number of things. If you take hours to do that, to talk about the Sangam literature and Peacock. And okay, thank you one and all. And really, I thank Sandhya for having given an opportunity, and also our thanks to the Madam Deborah Thagarajan, and also director of the Dakshin Chitra, and also interns who are very active now. And I think you make use of this Sangam literature for your museum collections also, collect that, and also preserve this. It speak about the heritage of the Tamil culture. This is what I'm showing it. Now I'm reading. So I'm just about taking the print of their culture, and it will take a lot of time. So many things I have to think. And Tamil part I cut. There are poems 8 to 10 lines, and what only highlights only I have just 2 or 3 lines also there for that. And this is what the importance of Sangam literature. Now we know about the value of Sangam. So thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you so much, sir. It's nice that you can admit that even someone who's as well read as you is still working on something new and working on collecting information and sharing your process with us. It's really helpful, especially for people like us, the interns, who are working on several research projects now. So thank you so much for sharing your areas of interest and the way you go about your research. It was really interesting to see. If anyone has any questions, they can turn on your mic and ask, sir. Meanwhile, there are a few comments in the chat section I'd like to sort of read out in case you haven't noticed it. We have someone saying, good morning, Dr. MCS and all the other participants. Very nice presentation with lots of references from Sangam literature. I appreciate and acknowledge your fantastic efforts in collecting the details and compiling them in a fitting manner. Congratulations and best wishes. It's from Dr. R. Kanakasabai, former professor and head of Zoology and Wildlife Department from ABC College.
So at 1 minute, Sandhya, I thank my the earlier former head of the department, Professor Kanakasabai, who has just now is octogenarian, more than 80 years. And after that, you must see his feedback. See how interested at this age. And then he observed all my talks. And not only that, the feedback, he would write about 1 page, the review of my talk. That's what I require. See, that's what I always like. I'm a teacher where I like something is better than nothing. No. Nonsense is better than nothing. Always I like that. I ask students that you must have some class question. And in that case, see, at this age, Professor Kanakasabai, I told you last meeting, I could some problem because he said I could not admit, so I could not enter into that Sathyanarayana. So that's why I told him. I sent a message, sir, you just will be waiting room. You just wait a few minutes, you'll be joined. And he listened to me, and I went to WhatsApp message. And thank you very much, Professor Kanakasabai and Professor RK sir. And really, he is actually when I was doing there, he encourages all the faculty members, the head of the department, as a head of the department, he encourages us that our involvement is there because of the encouragement for head of the department of the senior professors like Professor Kanakasabai. So at this stage, I thank the Professor Kanakasabai for his interest at this age. Age is not criteria. You have interest in others. So thank you, Sandhya.
We also have Gayatri Krishna saying a brilliant presentation. Thanks, sir. I'm sure I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, but the Albizia lebec seems to be quoted quite a bit alongside the peacock. That's that. If nobody has any questions, then I'd like to thank Dr. Sathyanarayana for his time. Again, we reached out to him when we were ideating for Mayura, and he was more than happy to be involved as possible. He said, I'll do 1 talk, I'll do 2 talks. So I think it's really great and encouraging to have subject matter experts who are so willing and ready to spend time with interns and with the public. So thank you to everyone who's been here. I know it's a long weekend, So most of you probably like to spend it with your families, but thank you for being here for this wonderful discussion. Next week onwards, we have workshops starting in Dakshin Chitra in alignment with the exhibition, the Mayura exhibition. We'll have information put out on our social media platforms. So please keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to everyone who's been here. Thank you to Dakshin Chitra for this opportunity. And yes, have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.